Hi, I'm Lalita from Let's Speak English. English in the workplace. Knowing the idioms, phrasal verbs, and unique vocabulary that's used in this professional context is so important. I'll admit there is a lot to learn, but in this video, I want to focus on some really common, very useful expressions that you'll often get to hear in your work area or in some professional contexts, like maybe when you're talking with your colleagues or your boss or clients and customers, or maybe even in interviews or speaking exams. So let's get started. And if you already haven't noticed, you'll soon realize that the office is where idioms and expressions go wild. At times, it feels like people only are using idioms and slang. So these 10 essential business English expressions will help you sound more natural and confident. So let's get started with the first one. Flat out. So if you're flat out, you're incredibly busy. You have a lot of things to do, so much that you can't stop to have a break. I'll be flat out next week because there's a new shipment arriving. Another example, I have been flat out all week. I'm exhausted. So, moving on to the next expression, train of thought. Have you ever been talking about something and then completely forgotten what you're talking about and why you're talking about it? Well, it happens to me more often than I'd like to admit, but this happens when your train of thought gets distracted by something else. The clear progression of your thoughts are stopped by something. So the expression that you will most commonly hear is, "Oh, I've lost my train of thought. What was I talking about?" So that's how you use this expression. Moving on, I would like you to like and subscribe to my video and subscribe to my channel, Let's Speak English. The next expression is get back on track. Now, if you lose your train of thought, you will need to get back on track. If something is on track, it's happening as it should and there's no problem at all. If something is not happening as you planned and you want to change it, you want to get back on track. So, for example, we missed the deadline last week, but we have just submitted the report, so we are getting back on track. So logically, if something is not on track, it's not happening as it should, then you're off track. So that is how you use the other part of the expression. So this idiom, when you're off track, has literal meaning: to get lost or lose your direction. To literally get off track, and here a track means a path or a road. So if you're off track, you're not on the road, on the path that you need to be on. The next expression is to bank on. This means to bet that something will happen in a certain way. To be really sure or confident that something will happen. For example, since it's a public holiday on Monday, we are banking on an early finish tonight. Well, it can also be used in a negative sentence, often advising someone against something. I wouldn't bank on that. That means it's not a good idea to assume that it will happen. The next expression is to brush up on. This is a phrasal verb, but one that's idiomatic, and it means to update or to improve your skills in some way. It can be used in any context, really, formal or informal. But this expression is so useful in a professional context because sometimes it can be a little awkward to say that you don't have fantastic skills in one area, right? So you can say that you need to brush up on those skills. Something like this. I'm brushing up on my Italian because I got a business trip in July. So coming to the next expression, to bring something to the table. So this idiom means to provide something that will be of benefit, something useful. And it's often used in a professional context to describe the skill or the experience that someone brings to a team or to a company. So, for example, he brings excellent communication skills and award-winning design experience to the table. So, that's how you use this expression. Moving on, to bring up. Now, this is a very common phrasal verb. You've probably heard it used before. It means to mention or to introduce a topic. Someone can bring up something during a meeting or a call or a casual conversation. For example, I'll bring it up with Sarah when I see her next week. So that's how we use to bring up. The next one is to turn down. Again, this is another common phrasal verb, but it's also idiomatic. It means to say no to something or to refuse something. For example, they offered me tickets to the conference, but I had to turn them down because it's my son's birthday. Moving on, wing it. Now, when you do something without planning or preparing for it, there are a couple of useful expressions that you can use. You can say that you will wing it. For example, my presentation's on my laptop, which I left at home. I'll have to just wing it. So usually this idiom suggests that you really didn't plan it to be that way, but for some reason you are underprepared. The next expression is off the cuff. Now, if you do something that's off the cuff, you're doing something without preparing for it, but you're kind of comfortable with it. You're cool with that. So, for example, Paul won an award last night and made a fantastic speech totally off the cuff. Well, that's it for this lesson, and I hope you have learned some new expressions. Remember that these expressions are often used in professional contexts, but you'll often hear them used in casual and informal contexts as well. So these are some really good ones to practice. So do not forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel, Let's Speak English.